buy out the administrator and put in a new administrator?
That's what we're hearing.
Who were you hearing that from?
There were all kinds of rumors all over during that time. And I can't remember if this was before or after the Powdersville meeting where Bob and I sat in the ad hoc committee meeting. But by then I had the letter that you've just shown me, and that's what we were believing that they were trying to do. And there was already some research that indicated that there should not be a buyout.
What research was that?
I think it's referred to as Piedmont versus Cowart, and that's where you don't bind the incoming council's hands with dictates from the previous. That was my understanding.
Was the exception to Piedmont versus Cowart ever explained to you?
I don't know. I don't remember.
Then at the bottom of the page, there's a sentence that says, and I quote, 5 council members looking to buy out contract, end quote. Do you see that?
Uh-huh.
As of October 13th of 2008, was it your understanding that 5 council members were inclined to buy out Mr. Preston's contract?
I can't remember if Mr. Waldrop had come on. I'm trying to remember. I think he came on in 2007, and it was 6-1 votes for a long time, and then it became 5-2. So that's what I believe that's what that was all about.
Do you recall telling Mr. Bright that 5 council members were looking to buy out Mr. Preston's contract?
I don't remember it in that form specifically, but I do remember we had constant 5-2 votes during that time. And I do remember that it was already being discussed out on the street that they were wanting to buy him out.
Now on November 18th of 2008, how many affirmative votes were cast in favor of Mr. Preston's severance agreement?
5-2, usual.
Was it 5-2 or was it ultimately 5-1-1?
There was a funky little procedure that was called reconsidering the vote, and I'm not sure where that played in that night. There's a lot of confusion on that point. Are you finished with that line of questions?
No, I just need to check one document to ask the next question. If you will turn to page 2 of Exhibit 2 for me, do you see the item number 1?
Uh-huh, I do.
That relates to the lawsuit we discussed earlier in your deposition, does it not?
Yes.
And in it, you told Mr. Bright it appears that the lawsuit involved a fancy sports car at issue and that it changed hands. I guess that is?
It appeared to change hands.
Several times, but my question is actually simpler. By October 13th of 2008, it's true, is it not, that you knew that the reason for the appearance of it changing hands was because there was a mix-up at the DMV.
Yes, I just went over that with you.
But when you talked to Mr. Bright, it doesn't appear that you ever told Mr. Bright that.
I didn't write his notes, Mr. Davis.
Did you tell Mr. Bright that?
I probably said appeared to have changed hands several times on paper, but was still in his possession.
How many ethnic complaints have been filed against you?
I think 3.
Sorry, that's ethnic as opposed to ethnic. I apologize. Have you ever been sanctioned?
By the Ethics Commission?
Yes, ma'am.
What does that mean? I mean, I've received complaints that I had to address.
Were you ever issued a warning, a reprimand, some sort of sanction?
I don't understand what you're saying. I have received notification of complaints that I had to address.
Okay, when you receive the notification of complaints, what happens next?
They sent an investigator.
And did the Ethics Commission ever find that you violated any sort of ethics canon?
As far as I know, I have been exonerated.
In every ethics complaint?
Yes, as far as I understand it.
Was there ever an ethics complaint filed against you with respect to certain county travel and pertaining to political activities?
Yes.
And what was the outcome of that ethics complaint?
I think they dropped it.
You believe that the Ethics Commission dropped that complaint?
Yes. There are 4 trips in question. I think it was around $78. I had not filed for reimbursable miles in many years, and I think I filed for some reimbursement in maybe June, July, August of 2008. And the trips were basically what other council members had charged off, and I didn't think about it. I put it in. When I started it, when it came up as an ethics complaint, I started trying to do my homework because I knew I was always constantly being challenged by our former administrator, and I wanted to make sure I was correct.
Did the Ethics Commission direct you to reimburse those travel expenses?
No, I reimbursed myself. What the Ethics Commission did, there was something about a date or time period during an election cycle they were not allowed to file complaints against candidates.
On the 3rd page of these notes, it references at the very top, drinks at Sullivan's using county credit cards. No backup, no itemized receipts. And I guess my first question is, do you recall telling Mr. Bright that?
Probably. I don't remember specifically. I think we were talking about my efforts to look at the county credit card files, which began in September of '07, many written requests, and finally, November of '07, I was given roughly 27 pages purporting to be the credit card statements for 23 credit cards for 5 months.
The question I was going to ask was, are there allegations that are at the top of page 3, allegations that you were making about Mr. Preston?
These are Mr. Bright's notes. All I can tell you is that it appeared that the county credit cards were being used for more than just meals at Sullivan's Grill. And by that time, Mr. Waldrop and I were finally allowed to go in and look at the boxes of scrambled up paper regarding the credit cards. There was very little backup.
Are you directing that accusation at Mr. Preston?
I'm only telling you what I saw.
Just out of fairness to you, we will see other documents where you're making allegations about drinks at Sullivan's Bar. And all I want to know in relation to this sentence up here is, were you telling Mr. Bright that you believe Mr. Preston was using a county credit card to buy drinks at Sullivan's Bar?
I told him it surely looked that way.
At the bottom, there's a category down there that says GLR 153.
Uh-huh.
What is GLR 153?
That's a general ledger report. That is, by department, all the expenditures. It's department and I think sub-accounts. And it would be like, for example, let's just say Sewer Enterprise Fund. And it would have the heading, and then I would think it would have the engineering. You know, you would have like personnel. It would just be categories. And it would, except for personnel and routine monthly costs pertaining to personnel benefits, that would just be notations. But it wouldn't give names. But under like engineering, it would tell you which firm got paid what.
But what was the category GLR 153?
General Ledger Report 153.
Okay, 153?
It's more in depth than the GLR 110.
That's what I'm asking. In relation to GLR 153, Mr. Bright's note reflect that at least he thought you were telling him that Mr. Preston pays things in October and post-dates it. I think he means predates it over to the prior year. Do you remember telling Mr. Bright that?
I remember complaining that I would want the GLR 153 for the fiscal year that would have ended June 30th, and that books were apparently left open sometimes until October, November.
Okay, but my question is much...
They would not even give me that. At June 30th, I wanted the GLR 153, and I also asked for it like at mid-year. I wanted to see how much we were in relation to our budgets.
Okay, Ms. Wilson, my question is much simpler than that. Do you remember telling Tom Bright that you thought Joey Preston paid things in October and post-dated it to the prior year? I think he means predated it.
These are his notes, Mr. Davis. I just told you what I meant.
I know, but do you remember telling Tom Bright that?
I don't remember it specifically in this form.
You don't deny telling him that, though?
I just told you. My general difficulty was in getting ledger reports.
Let me show you what we're going to mark as exhibit number 3. Ms. Wilson, have you ever seen the letter from Rob Hoskins to Tom Bright dated October 23rd, 2008 as reflected in exhibit 3?
I think I have.
Okay, did you see this letter potentially at the personnel subcommittee?
I may have. I don't remember specifically.
I only asked because, and here's why. Earlier you stated that you didn't remember the date of personnel committee. Now we're going to see a document in a second that is 1027, which is 4 days after this letter. And that's why I was wondering whether you had a recollection of seeing this October 23rd, 2008 letter at the personnel subcommittee.
All I can tell you, Mr. Davis, is I believe I've seen this letter. I don't recollect when precisely I saw it.
Did you see this letter before November 18th of 2008? Let's do it that way.
I think I did, but I can't remember.
In the very first sentence of Rob Hoskins' letter, and Rob Hoskins, you may recall, was Joyce Preston's lawyer. In the very first sentence it says, and I quote, "Per your request, I'm sending you Mr. Preston's proposal for a complete resolution of all claims against the county and the 2 individual council members we previously mentioned," end quote. And just combine these 2 questions down below in the middle, there's a paragraph that begins, "Unfortunately." Do you see that paragraph?
Uh-huh.
And that paragraph begins, and I quote, "Unfortunately, there also exists a number of causes of action which Mr. Preston will assert against 2 current council members as well as maybe one or two more incoming council members. His additional cause of action will obviously include tort claims given the extreme malice and intentional nature of the actions of the subject council members over the past several years, end quote. My question is actually not all that complicated. Was it your understanding that one of the two council members Mr. Preston was referring to was you?
Well, he had sued us. It was bizarre that we can't even go ask questions seeking financial data. I mean, have you ever heard of an administrator denying elected representatives in the council administrator form of government looking at financial records that they are responsible for? And there was an appearance of mishandling of credit cards and other financial things. They sued us over that.
Was your understanding that one of the two council members referenced in the October 23rd, 2008 letter from Mr. Hoskins to Mr. Bright was you?
That should be clear. You've already brought up that he had sued us.
In a separate lawsuit, right? Did he sue you as the county administrator?
I think we were sued sometime in late September, maybe. I can't remember the date.
In what capacity did Mr. Preston sue you?
In our individual capacities.
That's a fair answer. I'm talking about Mr. Preston. When Mr. Preston sued you, did he sue you in his capacity as the county administrator in that lawsuit?
Yes, I think so.
And in relation to this letter, is he writing as the county administrator or is he writing in his personal capacity?
No, this is a letter from Mr. Hoskins, so I don't understand your question.
Mr. Hoskins was Mr. Preston's personal attorney, was he not?
Yes.
Okay, well, Mr. Preston's personal attorney references two council members who have potential court claims, or Mr. Preston has court claims against two potential council members. You understood that one of those two was you, right?
Well, there's a long record of him suing me, so there you go.
Is that a yes?
I would assume so.
On the county council at that time, was Mr. Preston openly adverse to council members other than you and Mr. Walter?
No.
Please make this Exhibit 4. I'm asking about this document primarily for the date. Does this document reflect the date of October 27th of 2008?
It does.
Is that consistent with your recollection about when the personnel committee may have met?
Probably. I just don't remember specific dates.
And does this note from Mr. Bright reflect that you attended the personnel committee on October 27th of 2008?
Yes.
At the point in time that the October 27th, 2008 Personnel Committee occurred, was the lawsuit filed by Mr. Preston in his capacity as county administrator against you and Mr. Walter pending?
I think so.
I'll show you the next exhibit.
May we take a quick detour?
Sure. Ms. Wilson, have you ever reviewed Exhibit 5 before?
I think so. I think this is the employment agreement.
And when you say the employment agreement, do you mean Joey Preston's employment agreement?
Well, I think there was one prior to that, and I'm not sure I ever saw the prior one to this.
Was this the employment agreement, however, that was in effect at the time the severance agreement vote occurred?
I would assume so.
Are you generally familiar with the agreement's terms?
It has been a long time since I looked at it.
Could you turn with me to the top of page 2, and at the top of page 2 there's actually a quote. Do you see that?
I do.
And if you were to flip back to page 1, you would see that what it's actually quoting is South Carolina Code 4-9-660.
Yes.
And that quote says, except for the purposes of inquiries and investigations, the council shall deal with county officers and employees who are subject to the direction and supervision of the county administrator solely through the administrator, and neither the council nor its members shall give orders or instructions to any such officers or employees. End quote. Do you see that?
I do.
Have you ever read that statute before?
I have.
And in Mr. Preston's employment agreement, they actually included the verbiage from that statement, did they not? Statute, did they not?
Yes.
What I'd like for you to do is turn to page 3 and 4. I'm primarily going to look at page 4. But you may need to look back at page 3 to see what I'm talking about. On page 3, there's the provision entitled, quote, termination without cause, quote. Do you see that?
Yes.
If you turn to page 4, underneath the termination without cause provision, there are subparagraphs. And subparagraph E addresses the issues of a release delivered by the administrator. Do you see that down in E?
No.
In E, ma'am?
Okay.
And my question about this paragraph is real easy. Does that paragraph say in part, and I quote, the administrator agrees to execute and deliver to the county a release, releasing the county of all further claims the administrator may have against the county, quote.
That is what it states.
I read that correctly, right?
Yeah, but this is all under a termination. He was never terminated.
Are you responding to a question I asked?
I'm just reading this.
So I'd like to show the next exhibit.
So are we done with this?
For now. Ms. Wilson, have you ever seen this document? I believe this is what was flipped over to us on council for November 18th. Excuse me. Ms. Wilson, have you ever seen this document?
I believe this is what was flipped over to us on council for November 18th.
Did you ever vote one way or another in relation to this document?
I either opposed or abstained. I had not seen the document before that night, and there were a lot of questions regarding it, and I was just in great dismay that we couldn't get answers to questions before the vote.
Again, my question is actually a lot simpler. When this was presented to Anderson County Council on November 18th of 2008, did you or did you not cast a vote one way or another?
Against.
Can you turn to paragraph 6 for me? It's on page 2 down at the bottom.
Okay.
And my question about paragraph 6 is really quite simple, and it is, does paragraph 6 state, and I quote, in consideration of the county's agreement to provide employee with the severance payments described in this agreement, employee for himself, his heirs, his legal representatives, and his assigns, hereby covenants irrevocably never to make any claim or demand, or to commence, cause, or permit to be instituted or prosecute any suit, charge, proceeding, or action at law or in equity against the county, and I believe that's a typo, or any of its council members, employees, managers, officers, board members, or any of its affiliated parts, entities, or subsidiaries, as well as successors and signs of those entities and persons.
Even including the typo.
In my defense, I didn't type this document.
Well, it was done in haste, apparently.
I'll show you what we'll mark as Exhibit 7, Ms. Wilson. Ms. Wilson, have you ever seen this document before?
I believe I have.
The caption is State of South Carolina, County of Anderson, Michael Cunningham, Anderson County Administrator, Plaintiff, versus Robert L. Walter Jr. and M. Cindy Wilson in their individual capacities, stated December 2nd. And does it identify itself when it is dated?
It says December 2nd, 2008.
I think that's probably December 29th.
Okay, December 29th, okay. I see, I'm sorry, the numbers were separated and there's a little hyphen mark.
And this is an order granting a temporary injunction against you and Bob Walter.
It appears to.
And the first question I have for you is, if you go down in the first paragraph, the second to last sentence, does it reflect when the motion hearing was held in connection with the order that is being granted on December 29th of 2008?
I believe that's what it says.
Okay, and what date does it reflect?
September 24th, 2008.
September 24th of 2008 is actually the day before the date reflected on Exhibit 1. Isn't that right? If you'd like, you can look at Exhibit number 1.
Okay.
Is that a yes?
I see that.
Okay, the first question I have about this order is, were Bob Waltrop's attorney's fees from this case paid by Anderson County?
I think they were.
Why?
I don't remember how it came about, but I think they were.
Well, let me ask it this way. Bob Waltrop indicated that it was because his actions were, in the view of county council, performed in his official capacity.
Yes.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Is that consistent with what you remember?
As far as I can recall, remember, lawsuits were used as punishment and all sorts of bad things against me. Had I known that I could have gone to this insurance reserve fund, I probably would have, but I was out dangling on my own, and apparently Mr. Waldrop was able to access funds.
Well, these lawsuits that were used as a weapon against you, and this exhibit we were looking at is actually an order enjoining you from further interference with Mr. Preston's duties. Is it not?
I'm not following you. I never interfered with Mr. Preston, other than to ask questions from the podium or send letters of questions. And if Mr. Cunningham filed this, that was, well, after the buyout.
Ms. Wilson?
I don't understand.
I will represent you just so we don't make the record unclear. This was the lawsuit that Mr. Preston originally filed for which Michael Cunningham was substituted after Mr. Preston stepped down as county administrator. There's actually an order of substitution in this case reflecting that. So it's the same lawsuit and the allegations that are contained herein relate to Mr. Preston, okay?
I would have to read through them to tell you.
Let's look at some of them. Can you turn to paragraph 27?
27?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Does the court find in paragraph 27, and I quote, the county administrator's duty to supervise his employees is being intentionally and purposely thwarted by defendants, end quote.
That's what it says.
Are you one of those defendants?
That's what this claims. And of course, the claims were preposterous.
Let's look at paragraph 29. Does paragraph 29 reflect as follows, and I quote, the actions of the defendants have adversely interfered with the job responsibilities of county employees. The actions of defendants have interfered with the county administrator's ability to do his job, end quote.
Those were his claims, which we disputed.
In which the court found in his favor, correct?
Amazing.
What do you mean by amazing? Are you implying that Judge Nicholson was somehow influenced with respect to this order?
I think so. That's what it seemed to me.
How so?
Because I didn't interfere with the employees. In fact, I was quite fearful of going anywhere in the courthouse except running upstairs to the council office to get my paperwork. And we since learned that employees filed false statements against us.
Ms. Wilson, do you understand the gravity of accusing a judge of misconduct?
No, I don't. And I don't understand the ruling that was made that day, and I don't understand the grounds.
Did you appeal it?
I can't even remember. There was so much going on during that time, I think it was finally dropped.
It's true, is it not, that you did not appeal it?
I didn't have the funds to do so, Mr. Davis.
Was your homeowner's insurance not covering this?
They wouldn't cover appeals, I would think. If I had known they would, I surely would have. But during that time, I got dropped from my homeowner's insurance. They were tired of my being sued and they having to defend me. I don't think you understand. County employees had been told to never speak to me or give me information, and I just never bothered asking. My letters were addressed to the administrator.
Look at paragraph 18. Does paragraph 18 reflect in the last sentence that the court found, and I quote, one employee has filed 2 grievances with the county against defendant Wilson regarding defendant Wilson's conduct, end quote.
It says that, but it doesn't say what, does it?
Actually, it does. It refers specifically to Exhibit 7 in a supplemental affidavit submitted by the Assistant Administrator of Finance.
And she entered a false claim.
So are you accusing the Assistant Administrator of Finance of submitting a false claim?
How could she say I was demanding and rude when I never said a word? Review the tape of the December 07 visit to the Finance Department. I didn't say anything.
So at this point, the judge has committed misconduct.